Our next speaker is Joanne Mcneil from the University of Western Sydney, who also has an impressive CV and until recently, for 7 years, has been developing and managing the Social Enterprise Program at Parramatta City Council in Sydney. She recently gave up her position at the Parramatta Council to focus on a PhD full-time, and actually sounds like she's having a lot of fun, because with her two daughters in their mid-20s, Joanne is exploring life as the parent of grown-ups. She's also enjoying the opportunity to reflect on the years of working in and around social innovation and social enterprise, and the opportunity to meet people involved in fascinating projects all around the world. Joanne has just arrived back from presenting a paper at the Nesta Social Frontiers Conference in London, a Social Frontiers Conference. So please welcome Joanne Mcneil.
Thank you very much, Anna, for that introduction. And hello, everybody. I'm conscious I'm the last thing between you and afternoon tea on a long day. And for me, I'm still have residual jet lag, so this is not a good time of day, but we'll see how we go. So a big thank you to Sasha and to Northern Rivers Social Development Council for inviting me to be part of this symposium. It's a great treat to be here and to see the interest coming from so many different quarters and at that kind of regional level, which is something I'm very interested in. I'm going to talk to you today about my current PhD research. There's 4 elements that I'm bringing together in the study around social innovation, around public sector enabling roles, around diverse economies, and around sustainable local and regional development. So it's quite experimental. It's very early stages, and it's the same research that I presented on in London last week. So the focus for it came out of my practical experience over many years, working in various ways around enabling social enterprise, social entrepreneurship and social innovation. And I'm now trying to generate some conceptual work to strengthen the case for enabling social innovation activity from within the public sector. So I'm firstly going to talk to you about why taking a diverse economies approach to local and regional development is important. And then I'm going to illustrate how social innovation activity can contribute to this through a few of the examples that have come out of my case study research from around the world. So, local and regional development programs can be deeply connected to people and places that are impacted by complex social and environmental issues, or what are often described as wicked problems. Local people, organisations, and particularly collaborations of people and organisations have the capacity to drive adaptation to disruptive change and to shape resilient and diverse communities at the local and regional levels. However, historical approaches to local and regional development reflect a predominance of market economic strategies that privilege certain models of activity, often at the expense of broader wellbeing objectives. These approaches narrowly interpret development through traditional economic growth parameters and promote competitive advantage as the primary concern of economic development. Competitiveness strategies provide clear performance objectives for individual firms, and that's the sector where this type of approach has come from, but places are much more complex. In effect, place-based competition strategies can have significant long-term consequences for regional development, particularly when competitiveness is sought through low costs. So things like tax incentives, bidding wars, and the like deprive local and regional authorities of resources to invest in the quality of public services and amenities, and can place controlling interests in the hands of profit-only motivated stakeholders, for example, absentee landlords, at the expense of building local capacities. A broadening awareness of the limitations of the long-standing economic and quantitative focus in local and regional development is generating interest in more sustainable approaches to developing the social, cultural, political and environmental dimensions of places. Locally, you can see this interest reflected in the Northern Rivers Regional Plan, with the focus on environmental, creative and social care industries and recognition of the importance of a healthy small and micro business sector. And in the social plan, with many of the outcomes specified at the centre of social innovation work globally. And you can see the growing interest all around the world with models of social innovation, entrepreneurship and enterprise that purposefully address sustainability issues attracting attention. including at the research conference I was at last week, where there were examples from all over the world where this type of work is occurring. My research positions social innovation as a key strategy for enabling more sustainable approaches to local and regional development, defined in the context of this research as people-centred, environmentally responsible and economically diverse. And it positions it as a strategy that can work across what can often be siloed areas of activity. And this frame, I think, is very well suited to the socio-ecological basis of your local social plan in this region. Similar to many of the terms that populate discussion in this area, social innovation is a complex concept that combines all the vagaries of innovation processes with the messy nature of social issues and outcomes. Increasingly, however, it's accepted that social innovation works on two levels: addressing issues in social relations or process changes, and addressing social needs by establishing or strengthening social markets, also called outcomes changes. In this, sustainable forms of development are generated, with both the ends and the means implicated. Social innovations being good for society, whilst also improving the capacity of citizens to act. Social enterprises and social entrepreneurs, along with many other organisations, projects and individuals, are part of this sphere of activity, as they represent different ways of organising around social needs agendas and of harnessing markets to address complex issues. So drawing on the developments in practice, policy interest in social innovation is growing, as it's been identified as having the potential to work as a sixth wave of modern macro innovation. Commentators suggest that the current period can be likened to that of the 1930s, where economic and social crises acted as a hinge between the old world and the new. In this way, recent and ongoing crises can be seen as creating openings in the prevailing economic discourse, making way for a wave of creation and innovation that's concerned with, in some combination, reconfiguring social and political relations, reducing environmental impacts and contributing to building inclusive and resilient economies. So, as mentioned, I'm going to go through a few of the case examples of social innovation activity that we're working with. There are 23 in the study, which are intentionally very varied and together cover a broad cross-section of social innovation activity. I'm not going to talk about the theoretical parts of the project in any depth today, but in essence, it's about developing a language politics that aims to position social innovation activity as an economic process, whilst also broadening the understanding of what constitutes economic, to open up discussion about enabling more sustainable forms of local and regional development, and to assist with positioning public sector social innovation enabling work more effectively within a policy and programs context. So we're going to look at just three of our case examples today. The description of each is organised using the topology that we're developing as part of the research. The topology structure is designed to help make more visible some of the diverse economic dimensions of each of the examples and how these are contributing to local and regional resilience and sustainability. The diverse economies concepts I'm drawing on in the study come out of the work of my supervisor, Professor Catherine Gibson, who's well known for her work around post-capitalist economies over many years. The examples are all quite complex and have been summarised a lot here, but hopefully there's enough to give you a sense of what each one's about. So please don't try and read this because I'm going to talk through it. I've just put it up to give you an idea of how this is kind of working in terms of how we're working with the material. If you're interested in that side of it, you can come and talk to me at the end, but I won't go into that right now. So ITN America provides low-cost rides in private vehicles with door-through-door, arm-through-arm service to thousands of seniors and vision-impaired people across the US through its affiliates network. The service may be used for any purpose 24/7. It aims to provide an efficient and financially sustainable solution to the transportation needs of seniors and their families by bringing together tailored information technology systems and local grassroots delivery. A diverse labour source underpins ITN America's model. Drivers volunteer their time and receive an in-kind return in the form of ride credits. They also use their own cars, which accesses an underutilised resource to meet a social market need. ITN affiliates are new entrants into the existing market of personal paid transportation, a market which is traditionally captured by private taxi companies or publicly funded options, access to which is limited by strict criteria, for example, only for medical visits or only if you're of a certain income level. The service fills a social market need that's not being met by commercial operators or public sector programs. As with most social innovation activity, the motivations and involvement of a variety of actors are involved in making it happen. Senior citizens and vision impaired people want to retain their independence and are willing to pay for the service, a market. Other community members volunteer their cars and time and earn ride credits for their future use or use by an eligible family member. Their individual involvement provides the resources to address a social need being experienced by many. The founders developed the model as a social enterprise, which protects the interests of vulnerable groups and facilitates additional social capital benefits. Various state and local laws have been amended or created to facilitate the establishment of IT affiliates in different parts of the country in the US. So the service contributes to more sustainable local and regional development by addressing the transport needs of a part of the population that often experiences dependence and social isolation, provides flexibility, choice and freedom to senior citizens, and also keeps them active in the economy. Many rides are taken to shop, visit hairdressers or medical appointments with private providers, and to participate in community activities. Interactions between drivers and riders and other riders when rides are shared builds a sense of community and combats isolation. The ride credit system generates an in-kind return that allows volunteers to bank for their future use of rides as they get older themselves, or to make these available to a family member who they may not be able to support on a day-to-day basis. An already existing underutilised private asset is being turned into a commons-like resource that is servicing a rapidly growing social need. Say to Hospice at Home is a program provides an example of the embedded and collaborative approach to social innovation that's evident in the Basque region in Spain, which is famous for the Mondragon cooperative network, for those who are familiar with that. The SOTU program, which has been operating since early 2011, aims to provide a set of in-home social support services to complement clinical palliative care in order to improve comprehensive care for people with advanced and terminal illness and to provide support to their families. It's developing a model that supports traditional primary care services for palliative patients, focusing on the complementary aspects of healthcare, social welfare and companionship. They don't have that in Spain at the moment, so it's a new area. The SOTU model is stimulating the establishment of diverse forms of enterprise through designing services that meet the increasing demand for complementary palliative care services as the population ages, and working closely with the existing medical infrastructure. These enterprises are delivering on the opportunity to both improve care and free up the time of core medical staff. The SOTU project is demonstrating demand for a new social market, one that complements but doesn't replicate the existing palliative care services offered. Clients and families are reporting the benefits of accessing the new service, which over time has potential to develop a new sector of the care services economy in the region, one which improves end-of-life conditions for patients, creates new employment opportunities and reduces expenditure on health budgets. Palliative care patients and their families need assistance in the last 100 days of life. It's the most expensive part of your life in terms of medical costs, and are supporting the pilot of the program. Out-of-work medical staff are keen to re-enter the workforce and are taking up the opportunities. By working closely with existing non-profits to establish an enterprise delivery model, the interests of citizens are at the heart of the program, reducing the potential for cost savings to become the core driver over time. The program is being coordinated, it's an intentional market development process which is being coordinated by BioF, which is a foundation set up by the Ministry of Basque Government to oversee the research and innovation activities carried out within the Basque health system. The pilot program seeks to define a specific portfolio of services which will allow the creation of new professional profiles to carry out this type of work. By professionalising the new care roles, the potential for the model to be mainstreamed is increased. The pilot project is demonstrating that the creation of a reserve of appropriately trained home care professionals can lead to a more community-based model of healthcare that better meets patients' needs, whilst also resulting in more efficient expenditure of resources. The pilot program also employs people with a background in the care industries but were out of work due to the economic climate. So there's a multifaceted approach to the social benefits. Fusion 21, and this one would be relevant for those who were at the breakfast panel this morning as well, and is also, I think, an interesting model to consider, considering that you have the development of a regional social procurement strategy in your regional plan. Fusion 21 is a social enterprise based near Liverpool in the UK that promotes public procurement as a means to save money and create social outcomes. Working across the UK, Fusion 21 connects spending programs across numerous organisations, primarily housing authorities so far, to the creation of training opportunities and sustainable jobs for local people. By allocating 1% of the savings generated through the procurement process, Fusion 21 is able to fully fund its training and employment programs, ensuring that the model is not reliant on public funding and is wholly self-sustaining. The 7 housing authorities that founded Fusion 21 saw the opportunity to structure the transaction required to maintain housing stock in such a way as to generate a wide range of social benefits, whilst at the same time saving money. Through the Fusion 21 model, member organisations are freed up from the need to develop specialist capabilities in employment and training program delivery, but can ensure they are achieving quality and sustainable outcomes that meet their own objectives in these areas. Social procurement is an example of diverse transactions, an innovative approach that can generate funding for social purpose programs. In its simplest form, social clauses are built into contracts, ensuring a social return alongside the delivery of the services already being purchased. As mentioned in the Fusion 21 case, 1% of the cost savings are allocated to employment training, ensuring a sustainable delivery model. The Fusion 21 model represents an improved method of service delivery in market speak and is a highly sophisticated approach to social procurement. Individuals engage in the training and employment programs created through Fusion 21's approach. 7 municipal housing authorities founded Fusion 21 as they saw an opportunity to generate social outcomes for their constituents. Established as a social enterprise, the social purpose is core to everything it does. The founding organisation and other public sector customers continue to purchase through Fusion 21's frameworks and templates that they've developed in different areas, ensuring the success of its social procurement model. Fusion 21 manages over £500 million worth of joint procurement contracts for 130 clients. This is a long game though, they've been at this for a while, about 15 years. And its model has delivered over £45 million in cash savings to these clients. At the same time, it's created over 1,000 jobs, provided training opportunities for thousands of local people, and injected around £29 million back into local economies for the multiplier effect. At the core of Fusion 21's model is the recognition that the best terms it can get for its public sector clients aren't just about securing the lowest prices and the highest quality service. Every pound spent helps to create jobs for local people and supports small businesses in nearby areas. Fusion 21's model also supports a wide range of specialist non-profit and social enterprise partners that it works with across the country to create and deliver innovative programs aimed at reducing unemployment and creating sustainable jobs in specific place-based and mostly underprivileged communities. So they're helping to create markets for those non-profits and social enterprises as well as for themselves. In conclusion, I'd just like to reiterate how exciting it is to see a region such as the Northern Rivers taking this initiative. With all the pieces that you have in place, you're well positioned to lead the way in showing how purposely enabling social innovation activity can generate more sustainable forms of local and regional development. Supporting the establishment and growth of diverse economic agents and processes such as social enterprises and social entrepreneurs can contribute to developing new and growing existing social markets. The cultivation of social markets is a key strategy that can assist regions to develop more resilient economies that are less dependent on competitive growth models, whilst also addressing key local social issues. Thank you.
Has anybody got a question for Joanne? Any questions?
Bit of a change of pace.
Here we go. We'll just grab a microphone.
Hi Joanne, thank you. Lots of great ideas there, how to transform a business into, something that's giving back to the community. The question I have for you is there's probably a lot of fear there in people. How do I make that transition? Aren't there a lot of legal barriers I need to leap over? I mean, where would I go? How would I think to get the information I need to move forward, to do such things, to transform?
So you mean to establish a social enterprise?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So Sasha and the NRSDC have done a great job in pulling together some of the key resources that we have available in Australia to support social entrepreneurs and social enterprise practitioners here today. So you've heard from School for Social Entrepreneurs, Social Traders. We'll hear from Belinda Drew from Foresters soon about some financing things as well. Those are the things that we have available in Australia at the moment to support people. It's a lot more than when myself and others who are here started working in this space. We used to have pretty much nothing, and now we are starting to have parts of a healthy support ecology, if you like, but not a complete spectrum as yet. So really, everybody who's working in this space is up against the same issues. It is a tough game. You heard Ben earlier saying, it's hard work being a social entrepreneur. It's not easy. You need a really thick skin and a tough head because you're going to be banging it against a lot of walls. You're asking people to change their behaviour, change their thinking, and oftentimes change significant chunks of culture in organisations and in the way that programs are run. And none of those things come easy to anybody. I don't have a silver bullet for you, but what I can say is, in my experience in supporting people who are trying to do this kind of work over a number of years, that peers are critical, that a support network around you is really, really important. It's almost, I think, impossible to do this work alone. And so putting together a very strong and supportive network around yourself of people who you can trust and know you can talk to about what you're doing is really critical. But at the same time, it's also important to have people that you can go to who have a much more objective point of view and can actually assist you with some of the more technical questions and issues that you'll run into around things like legal forms and structuring procurement contracts and all of the nuts and bolts sort of side of it, which you really need the core expertise to assist you in those areas. So looking for key people in the community who might have some of those skills that you can form relationships with is a great way to go.
Yeah, over here.
Hi. I was going to ask about your perceptions of government. You've obviously worked in local government, which tends to be fairly responsive within local communities. I'm interested if you have perceptions around state or federal government. You said one of the things you're hoping to do with your research is to enable social innovation and enterprise through government sort of thinking changes, perhaps. I'm just interested with Les having talked about some of the strategies that are happening there, your impressions of what we should expect from our current predominantly liberal governments in that field, how they'll perhaps roll out or respond to some of these opportunities as things change.
Okay, I am not going to get into any kind of political discussion. I'll say that. I can tell you from my own, I have no idea what the current government has plans for. In fact, many of us don't, because it's very difficult to actually find out. But what I can tell you from my own experience is that there are many, many people, believe it or not, working on the inside of government who really went there because they want to affect change. And they are frustrated and strangleholded by many of the systems and processes that they need to work within every day. So what I guess I'm interested in and what I'm trying to look at in my research is how can we create the tools and ways of strengthening the arguments that they need to make when they go back inside the organisation and say, we should be supporting these social entrepreneurs, we should be looking at this change to policy, we should be thinking about bigger system change at whatever level that is. Because it's hard, it's really hard. And when we take social innovation language and concepts into a public policy and programs context, it can sound very woolly, very quickly. And so trying to create, this is what I'm trying to use the language of markets and economies and to bring into this space so that we can actually have more robust conversations around these things and help maybe move some of that along in a tiny little way. Yeah, so I don't think that answers your question, but that's my response. Okay.
All right, Joanne Mcneil, thank you very much.